Hello friends, how are you? Happy Friday. Whoop whoop. I know that means a lot to some people, right? If you are on, go ahead and say hi, drop in, tell me where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and say hashtag replay. Just so you know, I can say, if you decide to share this, please let me know so I can give you a shout out and thank you. I'll either do it while I'm live or after. And if you are new, if this is your first time jumping on, go ahead and say new so I can go ahead and reach out to you either later or now. I'll definitely send you a message. So if you're new, let me know. So how is everyone doing? Hi. Look, everyone's jumping on. Hey, Kim. Hey, Shannon. Hey, Priscilla. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Nicole. How's everyone doing? Okay, so this topic has kind of, I was driving this morning and I was just thinking about things and how like things have changed a little bit, and how I always had an issue growing up, and even, into my, hey Kelsey, into my being an adult, of just, I always wanted to focus on the problems, and I always wanted to hang around with people who were the same way focusing. Studying for your anatomy class, that's good. So, and I think I've shared this before, I definitely was not an angel growing up at all. I was like, I had issues. I was a bully for a while, and I had to end up later in life making amends to those people. I remember getting in trouble a lot in school and stuff, and my dad would always say to me, Brittany, if you hang out with winners, you'll become a winner. If you hang out with losers, you'll become a loser. And I used to get so annoyed. He said that all the time, and it just, I just thought he was being like, a dad, and it was obnoxious, and these are my friends, and why are you talking bad about my friends? And people can't make me do things. I do things because I want to do things. And it's just so funny how now, like, eventually now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, oh my gosh, he was right about that. We become who we decide to surround ourselves with, who we come around with. And eventually it took me down, a really dark path. And it's not, because I was with people, but just like, they found the negative, I connected on the negative level with people. So eventually through life, like, I started to get darker and darker. And, I've talked about drug addiction, just cutting off from the world. And it's because, like, I was around in this circle, and they, we all have like negative parts of us, and we all have positive parts of us. But are we hanging out with people that are feeding, which side? So I was deciding and choosing to hang around with people who were feeding and encouraging that dark side. And that's all. So I was negative. I was hopeless. I did not, and I'm just going to say, I did not want to believe in a God. I was angry at the world. And I thought this is the way that life was supposed to be. Life wasn't fair. Nothing was fair. And it was just because, hey, Holly, you're so sweet. And it's just because everyone around me and who I chose to be around had those same feelings. We were the victims of the world. The world had done something to us, and it just so it wasn't fair. And that's kind of what had happened. And then, like, even after I got clean, I realized in my adulthood, I was again surrounding myself with people who were very nasty and bitter and mean. And I remember sitting there, and like, we just, we never would celebrate people's successes. We were always talking bad about people. And it was again, and so what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times it took me to realize any problem and anything that has come up in my life, the only factor that I can control is myself. Anything, any problem that needed a solution. It was all within me, but it took me, you know, I wanted to blame everybody on the outside, and I was hanging out with people who were always blaming people on the outside. I think I've told this story, but about 2 years ago, I was also in a mom's group, and I just remember being like so consumed. Basically, like there a lot of mom shaming. I wasn't doing anything for myself. We were always just like picking on the negative, and I was just stuck. And then there just became a time, and I think I kind of hit rock bottom in knowing I was so stuck in my life, where I was like, Brittany, what can you do to change this? Why are you always focusing on the problem? Why are you always a victim? And it was because I was hanging out with other people who thought they were a victim. So we all could just kind of just sit around and talk about how we were the victim, and there's no reason to try to change because nothing ever works. But that's not the truth. So, you know, I decided to take a risk, and eventually things started to change. And so what I do now is, over time, I started to get a very low tolerance now for people that aren't living in the solution, because that's the first thing that I try. You kind of have to train yourself, like, do not come and say that there's a problem. Nothing is hopeless. Nothing's hopeless, right? And, you know, when you want to be a leader, you should be able to find solutions. Leaders are solutions. You don't need to come to somebody and be like, oh, what do I do? You know, like, you should be, my thing is like, I have 3 solutions for every problem. So if you want to come to me and say you have a problem, have you thought of the solution yet? Not 100% of the time we know the solutions to our problem. We just don't want to do it. And so I surround myself with people with that kind of mindset. I just know, like, any time where something's been bad for me, whether it's been my weight loss journey, my business, things are slow, things aren't going how I want to, I already know why. There's no reason for me to sit and complain about it, right? So I choose to be around people who tell me that and call me out on that, right? I choose to be around people who are like, I already know why things are a little slow. I haven't gone live. I haven't done my personal development. I haven't taken all of these suggestions. So you can't really complain if you're not taking all the suggestions. So I choose to hang out with what I call like eagles now, and we are all about being in the solution. Things are hard. Things are hard. Like right now, currently, my business that I'm in, we're doing like a whole website changeover, and things are a little rough, you know, and that just happens. It's, you know, but the thing is, in the long run, things are going to be better. It's going to be so much worth it. So what I do is I have all these problems coming at me, and my own problems. So I'm just trying to focus on what I can do in the solution. And sometimes, here's the big thing I had to learn. Sometimes the solution is just waiting it out and doing nothing. Sometimes that's the solution, just hanging on. And sometimes that's the best solution. If you've been through something in your life that you didn't think you were going to get through, that you felt hopeless, sometimes just hanging on and doing nothing is the best solution, the only thing you can do. So what I'm saying is, like, I spent so many years hanging out with people and wanting to be, you know, and being with people that fed that negative side to me, where when I finally was able to no longer tolerate that and only surround myself with people that were living in the solution. I'm not saying like we're fake or phony, but people that can be like, you know what, yeah, this is a little hard, but what can we do about it? Let's talk about what we can do about it. And those are the people I decide to surround myself with. And here's how you find them. Here's how you find your eagles. You need to become one. No one is going, these people, you know, how are you portraying yourself? Are you always going to be negative? Like, we can only like pull out so much while you just keep coming with the same problem. Eagles are going to be attracted to eagles. Chickens are going to be attracted to chickens, and that's just kind of how it is. Eventually, you cannot tolerate, and it's so hard in your personal life. I don't know, drop a 1 if you feel like it's harder to cut off someone in your personal life that's super negative. Because we can talk about that for a second, because that's true. And that's harder, I think. Maybe you have a family member, maybe you're in a relationship with someone and they're not supportive, they're always being negative. I've dealt with that. And it's a lot harder when it's someone, you know, that is your family member. And what I eventually, it's kind of like practicing that tough love that was that people have practiced. You just got to be like, listen, I can't listen to this anymore. You keep coming to me with the same problem. You know the solution, but I just can't listen to this anymore. I love you. I care about you. I want what's best for you, but this isn't good for me and it's not good for you, because that can just so easily stick you back into like being in that toxic environment. Being with eagles definitely helps your business. You want to be with people that are hungry just like you, that are going to push you just like you, that are going to call you out on, you know, maybe you're becoming complacent. And I have people in my life that remind me that, Brittany, you need to invest in yourself. You need to take care of yourself. And I would not get that before. So it's just so important to think about who you're surrounding yourself with, and if they're helping you and if they're hindering you. Anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to jump on and talk about this Friday. Again, if you share this, let me know. If you're new, let me know so I can introduce myself. Thank you everyone for jumping on, and I hope you all have a great weekend.